Hi, my name is Joseph. Bonjour, je m'appelle Joseph. 안녕하세요, 요셉이에요. And this is my YouTube channel. I started this project at the start of the pandemic in the spring of 2020. I had a chance to buy an electronic percussion pad, a Yamaha DTX-12. The DTX came with a music production software called Cubase, and I said, okay, so I have this software that is not cheap that I got for free, so I wanted to learn how to make projects, to learn much more in depth about the software, and so that's how I started this project. In autumn of 2019, I was also attending Schulich School of Music in McGill. Here, I had a chance to play and learn under a percussion ensemble from Lyon called Percussion de Lyon. This ensemble made musical arrangements for a percussion ensemble from well-known classical repertoire, and this group has inspired me to draft video game music for a percussion ensemble. I was fascinated with their compositional style and their textures when they combine different instruments, and the entirety of the sound. In music, what we call sound mass, and I thought, if they could write percussion ensemble arrangements for classical music, why can't I make one for video game music? J'aime beaucoup arranger les vibraphones et les crotales. Je les aime parce que je peux manipuler les sons beaucoup avec mon technique, mais aussi ce que je peux jouer ces instruments avec. Je pense constamment quelle profondeur je frappe quand je joue le vibraphone. Personnellement, j'aime les effets aux ces deux instruments quand je joue avec des archers de basse, surtout les crotales. Vous pouvez jouer les crotales sur les timbales avec un archet et le son devient vraiment magique. We first have the marimba. The marimba produces sound through keys and metal resonators underneath. Usually, I try to record on marimbas that have rosewood keys because they sound deep and resonant. These keys are usually imported from Belize. Other materials are the paduk wood imported from West Africa and synthetic keys, which are a combination of materials. There are also resonators that goes under the marimba bars. You can think of it like a mini version of pipe organs. It serves the same purpose that the tube amplifies the initial strike in the keys so that we can hear it. Because the marimba keys are made with wood, it has a warmer sound. And also because of the time that sound takes to travel, you can hear slight delay in vibration after the initial strike. Then you have the vibraphone. Both the keys and the resonators are made from metal. What is unique about the vibraphone is that once you play it, the sound can resonate for a very long time. So it has a pedal that you can stop that sustain. It's kind of like a metal version of a piano almost. Compared to a marimba, I would say that the sound of the vibraphone is more pointed, which is nice if you need some melody that needs some clarification. You also have the xylophone, which is a smaller version of a marimba. The keys and the resonators are made with similar materials as marimba. The sound of a xylophone is even sharper than the vibraphone because it is in the higher pitch and thus it is tuned based in thirds instead of the typical Pythagorean tuning in fifth. That is also why xylophones really stand out against other percussion instruments. Xylophones don't have much depth compared to marimba, so it's nice if you have the warm sound to support the crisp xylophone sound. Of course, you can try to make the sound rounder through using a hard yarn mallet or a soft rubber mallet. Another instrument in the higher register is the glockenspiel or the bells. The glockenspiel is interesting because it has both qualities of a shrill sound, but also has a round sound. I think it is mostly because it plays in the higher registers. The glockenspiel sound is nice even with combined with lower register marimbas, which was interesting to discover through my Don't Speak Your Name cover. A very interesting sound is the crotales. You can hear many notes even when you strike one single note. It seems like the individual notes sound slightly thicker but also piercing at the same time. Crotales is probably one of the most invasive percussion instruments in terms of its sheer volume. So when I balance the instruments in my mix, I usually have to tone it down a lot. In the drums, you have the timpani, big drums shaped like a giant bowl called the kettle. The timpani are so essential in big rolly moments, and it's probably one of the deepest instruments that you could play with. And the cymbals, the suspended cymbals that I roll with looks and sounds like a controlled white noise. And it kind of works like white noise if you also see the frequency graph. Cymbals are hammered usually by hand without symmetry after they've been formed through molten metal. And that is what makes cymbals sound like cymbal. There are so many pitches that speak out of cymbals that it just sounds like one big whoosh. And that's also why you have jazz drummers who are very nitpicky about where they play in a specific cymbal, because that also has a difference in what sound you want. I really like the cover that I did for Valkyria Chronicles 4. It was one of the most challenging pieces musically to produce and mix together because of the intricate bowing sections, but somehow the blend between bowed crotales and the glockenspiel worked really well. That moment when you go from the climax of the piece to the verse again with this texture really pops up. And this moment I think is the most magical moment I've produced so far. I remember writing this arrangement particularly in 2 or 3 days because I love this track so much. Throughout the fall semester, I've listened extensively to the Final Fantasy XIII soundtrack. I think Final Fantasy XIII embeds an amazing blend of jazz harmonies in a classical soundscape. For example, when you hear the premise from Final Fantasy XIII, you can hear the sweeping strings in D major minor 9th chord followed with a C major 7th and the transition to an E minor 11th chord. And the sound and the voicing is, I think, one of the most beautiful sonority that a video game could have. I think this is all that I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy my videos and my future videos. Thank you. Merci.